total loss, really, on what to do.
Okay. Hang on a second. Let me turn you up really quick. Give me a second. Or is that something that you can do? Let me check. I don't see a place where I can turn you up specifically. Haha. All right. That's okay. I can hear you relatively well. I'll just turn up volume.
All right.
All right. I think we're good. So first and foremost, let's take a look at the comp. We have, you're on Genji. Your composition is Garrosh, Deckard, Genji, Sonya, and Orphea. Looks like a pretty decently strong draft. Is this for Hero League or Team League?
Team League.
Okay. And the other team is Valeera, Varian, Rhaegar, Jaina, and Diablo. Okay. So far from draft, I would say that your team's primary weakness is its tools to deal with frontliners that are very tanky. And that's where the Diablo variant comes into play. Genji is a semi-auto attacker, but really his strength is being able to follow up on CC on squishy targets. So especially after the auto attack nerf to his range, I think that he struggles a lot with dealing with frontliners. Not only that, but he also took a hit from the reduction in all the different heroes received that nerf to their hitboxes.
Oh yeah.
And that makes a big difference for Genji, especially if you're going to go for Shingen. So just all those things to say, Genji I think is in a not great position right now, especially against counters. So I think that picking Genji early is also very risky.
Yeah, I first picked in this game.
Okay.
And they just went with Diablo Valeera right after.
Yeah, pretty much. As far as the rest of the draft goes, I think strength-wise, you should be winning the solo lane with the Sonya into probably the Varian, at least until level 7. And they can go for ganks with the Valeera. So you kind of have to keep tabs on the Valeera, where the positioning is, call that out. And as Genji, I think laning wise, I'd like to see you be the one who's in center of the map, ability to rotate to the top for either a gank or to help Sonya if she needs to, or to rotate down to the bottom. So your primary role here is just to watch this triangle, allow your team to rotate faster than they can, and yeah. Do you usually go for the trait on 1, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's correct, especially for this map. As far as early, mid, late game, which team do you think has an advantage?
I think the enemy team has advantage in all stages of the game.
Okay.
Battle commencing in 10 seconds.
Definitely think Diablo gets pretty scary post 16.
4, 3,
I'm assuming he's going to go for... Oh, he might go for the W build here, actually.
well, heroes.
They have decent wave clear between these two heroes, so yeah. Hold on. Volume's too high. Okay. Let me also select you. You are number 0. Okay, we're good. So they fast rotate Varian up, so Sonya has to respond. That's fine. So you guys have control of this triangle right now. This is a pretty big advantage. It looks like they send 2 people top to deal with the Sonya. I'm guessing you're going to go to respond to that. I don't know that I agree with this. I think that he should be able to stay alive, and if he can't stay alive, you guys going there is not going to change that. We do a... Yeah, Not gonna land in a kill. Okay, you mount up. Stay
I'm
here.
just staying here because I feel like Valeera is nearby.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Although it's putting this position of having no DPS in the other lanes. You have all three of your DPS dealers, or two main DPS, are top or mid. So this is going to put you behind on the bot lane. This is where this situation starts to go south, I think, because they're going to get control of the bot shrine easily, and I think that they'll be able to get control of this. Then again, I think this is the tap here from Sonya, so maybe not. So top, I guess, top control should be okay then. Never mind. So yeah, Valeera still has yet to show. They're not clearing mid. Okay, there's Valeera. As soon as Valeera shows, this is fine. Orphea's pretty and doesn't do this very fast because she doesn't get key resets off of it. Could do with help to do this faster, I think, as the Genji. It's probably your role to do this instead and allow Orphea to continue to wave clear. So far, you have two of the lowest wave clear heroes in the game trying to clear waves, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important to allow the Orphea to be with the group. Meanwhile... Alright. So they try and kill you, but... pretty hard to gank a Genji. So you guys are winning the solo lane top, especially before level 4. He goes for Twin Blades, okay. There's this big fight going on down bottom. I think it's a little late, but I think you kind of needed to try and rotate for this. I realized that Valeera might be sitting in these bushes waiting.
Yeah, like I was like so sure she was just like sitting there waiting for me.
That's why you just got to shuriken these bushes. You got to shuriken, mount up, cyber agility, try and get over this wall, and try and help out if you can. But because right now, you guys committed to this, and it's a losing fight. I don't know why you guys were committing to this fight. That's a bigger mistake, though. Garrosh dies, and then you guys hard commit. So once again, it really becomes apparent to me that the real problem here is wave clear in your 4-man.
Yeah.
And that's gonna significantly hurt your early game / mid game. So they can just bully you off the point. That's no problem. So because of the fact that you guys have worse wave clear, what's the answer? How do you deal with that?
Gank them.
You have to win the team fights. So that means you have to give yourself the 3 versus 4s if you can. And that's where you come in, I think. I don't think I've seen you be in these bushes mounted yet this game. And that's a big part of it. Put him really far out of position there. Alright, so they go for the gank top. You are mid. I would immediately rotate bottom side. This guy's already dead, I guess. Yes. Going top here, I guess you're trying to
I
go
kill him, yeah.
the kill. But they did show that they had Valeera top as well, so it's a little risky. But I assume you get this, yeah. Alright, it's not terrible. You probably can't hold this though. Alright, nice blink on the silence. Probably would have been better to just throw a shuriken, but before just to knock her out of stealth. If you get her out of stealth, I think you win the trade. Okay. Oh, that's close. It's really risky into the Diablo. If he gets that wall bang. Sonya loses to the Varian. I didn't see if there was a second. Oh, there was, yeah, okay. Oh, feels bad.
That was tragic.
Feels real bad. Alright. So you guys got the Dragon Knight. I'm not sure if I agree with taking the mid wall here. It's not terrible, but bot is always better. There's no camps that ever go through mid, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so the only camps go top side or bottom side is where the majority of the camps are, and so because of that, bottom becomes the highest priority. Not to mention the fact that if you get to the keep side, if you take down the bottom keep, you have the most area where you can posture against the core, which is very helpful without getting hit by the keep in the middle.
Here, I pretty much just like forgot that the towers aren't worth anything anymore.
I see. So you're going to go for the towers on both sides?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or I just like run away.
Yeah.
Because I didn't make damage.
So on wall, definitely not ideal, but I mean, you did lose 1 or 2 heroes during that, so it's not the end of the world. Okay. Oh. I actually think that the camp going for the camp there is fine. It's kind of a downtime. You have econ beep in 2 seconds. Oh, this is risky. Alright. I think you had to hold your E a little bit longer. Because if he had his Q there and he gets a wall bang, whew, could turn real quick. Okay, this is good. This is going to clash right here. Now you go for these camp. That's fine. Can they make it out? Should be able to. With Decker healing. Alright, good stuff. Not good stuff. Okay, so we lose, Valeera takes out the Orphea here. He's gonna trade? No. Okay, we get the camp.
Another chance to prove yourself worthy. Do not squander it.
Definitely feel like you need to start rotating downwards. You're gonna struggle here on the bot side of the map with double camp.
Yeah.
But okay, so you go to try and help top. Alright. It's decent.
There must always be a Dragon Knight. But will it be you?
Very nice. Good execution. I suspect that this is gone.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you could have done enough to change this down here, but basically you succeeded at doing the best thing that you could have up here. I don't know if it was actually better than going bottom, but because they would have been 3 people at the very most because they had 2 people ganking here. So then that would have given you a 3 versus 4 even into the spell shield. I still think that might still be worth it. They have a fair amount of room to chase. Your team has a fair amount of room to chase. and they're trying to push into structures. So as long as Orphea is able to try and wave clear better, then it becomes a lot safer for you. It's unlikely that you lose anything, and in terms of the structure, you're definitely going to lose Sonya up top, and that's going to lead to this being taken, and you guys should be able to contest this at the very least after you clear this. So I think it's a safer play to go down bot. This play was risky, but it ended up paying off somewhat at least. Okay. As a general rule, though, whenever you see people ganking with more than the same number on one side of the map, the typical response people have is, let's go help. But it's actually the wrong response typically. You want to just force the opposite side of the map with the same situation. You want to have additional numbers and force a fight there instead. That being said, a kill up here is more valuable than a kill down here, because of the fact that this means you lose soak, and a kill down here doesn't mean you lose any soak. So you have to a lot of variables to weigh. Let's dragon. Nice stall. Oh, I don't think it's enough. Yeah. Good bait. So you stay here to soak here. They're definitely going to get 13 first. Oh, okay, good. Not good. Great. That's a risky E. Okay. This fight is, as you can see by the APOC, it's very risky. There's a lot of walls that are very easy for Diablo to get value off of, and the short, small, enclosed spaces is extremely good for Jaina and Diablo. That being said, it should also be decent for Orphea. But the first ultimate was like right here. If it had been just like right here, that would have been a lot better. But he got picked off by Valeera on the side. More importantly, this is 12 to 13. This all kind of starts because you E'd in on the Dragon Knight. I think that if you had, like, I think you got away after that, but if you hadn't done that, it would have communicated to your team, like, we don't need to go in, sort of. I just want to see how that exactly happened. And I hate this because I play a lot of the heroes that have mobility, and like going in, even if you know you can get out, a lot of times your teammates won't know that or understand that, and so they'll try and come in to aid you, and it'll end up hurting your team in the long run. So right there, you're able to get out, but I think some of the members on your team are trying to go on to Diablo because of the risk that you're in when you E there. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Really good ice block, ancestral heal, and great APOC. Really just makes this fight. And then you get picked off. Okay, at least you get one. Are they going to get all 5? Yes, they will. Okay. But you guys have 13, so, you know, worth. Yeah, it was a very good ancestral heal. Well timed. So from that fight in particular, thing to note is your team doesn't want to take close like small area team fights. I think your team is going to do better in more open spaces where you can dodge abilities a little bit better and avoid walls. And of course, talent tier advantage. Don't chase too far. I wouldn't use that trait. When you chase for this long, it's almost guaranteed that they're going to have backup. Two-man top. Jaina's potentially a good kill target here. I think you're mounted, so you could definitely get there in time before Diablo gets there. So it looks like you guys have the same idea. Alright, so you go right off the bat for the Jaina. Okay, yeah. The moment Diablo shows up, you guys turn onto the Varian, it's fine. It's pretty good for you guys. The problem is that you can't do a lot right now from that kill. Like, this wall is already gone, so you can't really push. You can't invade because it's like way far out of the way to invade these. There's not a whole lot for you guys to do except for take your camp, both camps, and try and get a little bit of macro pressure going. But it's very likely they'll do the same thing. So, okay. This is... Do you have Unstoppable? He should have Indomitable that. You saw this, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes, you definitely saw it. I thought I saw your movement indicating that. Alright. So now you have macro pressure on both sides. They haven't done this one yet, but they do have 16 advantage here, so this is tricky. You definitely want to clear this faster if you can, while avoiding team fights. Okay, they cap the siege. At this point, I'd say just stay mounted in this area. Oh, I think you're going for help. Okay. That's a good dismount. Not enough. Okay. So you guys are stepping up on bottom, pushing out with these siege. That's good. They showed 3-4 people top, so it should not be Orphea alone, and going into this area is a death trap against Diablo. It's a guaranteed wall bang wherever you go. Alright, very, very lucky. So I'll look at C on their team. Okay. So now they have almost a majority of their camp still pushing. Capture point is available, and you guys don't have 16 and no Sonya. I don't think that's worth fighting. I honestly don't. I think the risk of losing this team fight is way too high. So the best case scenario here is that you try and back cap the top somehow while the rest of your team kind of just clears. That's the best case scenario. You want to get to 16. You give this up. It's worth it. As long as you guys get 16 and all stay alive. That's the main goal. Yeah. It's just dead. Yep. Yeah. So now you're going to end up losing the Dragon Knight. This is still getting push value top, and they're going to, and you guys have 4 dead, so you can't defend against this. It's pretty rough. Still no 16. Oh boy. That's a lot of damage. Oh boy.
Yeah, that E hit from over the gate.
Yep.
Super tragic.
I mean, he was kind of asking for it a little bit, but yeah, it's unfortunate. Rip. So, when did Varian die? I didn't notice that. Go back a little bit. Right, he's still already dead. Anyway, so you guys definitely want this fight from the 4 versus 5 and 16 talent tier, but it's a lot of bad execution. Once again, Indomitable is still up, so after he throws the Diablo, it's always good to drop the Indomitable. He would have prevented himself from getting punted there. As for you, there's not a whole lot you have left right now. Your E's down, your X-Strike is down, Shuriken's down for a second. So there's nothing you can do to prevent that. Okay, the fight is still viable. They have no healer, so definitely good to focus their other targets, but the knockback, he's got to use Unstoppable for this one. Oh boy. Oh boy.
Yeah, like I saw Valeera low and I thought I could kill her, but she instantly smoke bombed and raced me.
Yeah. That's a third knockback.
I feel like it just like completely slipped in his mind that he could do that.
This thing's really strong. Alright. Doesn't look like the game is over yet, but they have huge advantage. I'm not sure how you could possibly come back from here. I haven't even looked at builds yet.
Oh, yeah, he did build kind of very
Interesting. Yeah, I don't agree with it. Against their composition, I think that they're very burst oriented, so I definitely think the shield would have been better. I think field study is not correct either. I think the emerald would have been a lot better. Not emerald,
Sapphire?
Sapphire, yeah. Sapphire would have been quite nice against Jaina, Rhaegar, Varian. There's a bunch of different heroes that don't have tools to deal with slows, really. So that would have been really nice. And Kanaisky was fine with damage reduction. Lornado, I also don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah, like they had a ton of melee, so I think Stay a While would have helped.
Stay a While would have been a nice way to turn fights that were not looking so good. Potion of Revival, don't agree with that either. And then Safety in Numbers, I get why he might want it against the Valeera per se, for the additional armor, but all around not ideal for the build. Let me see yours. Agile Dismount is good. Strike at the Heart, I wouldn't pick this talent into their composition, just because if you're Eing for damage and not just for the last hit, then there's a strong chance you get punished for it by the Diablo or the Valeera. So positioning wise throughout this game, your main goal is to stay very much so inside your own team comp, away from walls, until the very moment that you guys are about to get a kill. And I think your playstyle on Genji hasn't shown me that. What I've seen a lot of is that you're playing this game as a Genji that wants to get E damage, essentially. And that's really, really risky into their composition. They haven't punished for you for it every time, but sometimes they have. Perfect Defense, definitely don't agree with that either. I think spell armor on your trait would have been significantly better into the Jaina specifically. Even the Valeera would have been decent against. X-Strike, I agree with. Shingen, yeah, you can get a lot of Shingen value on Diablo. And Final Cut's fine. Yeah. Ooh, has not finished Warbreaker. 14 minutes into the game. That's rough. Okay. Oh boy. All right. Damn, this is Team League?
Yeah.
Not so friendly. So are you guys not in voice comms?
Yeah, there was actually a ton of flaming going on the entire game.
Okay. This is really just about wave clear right now. You have a triple camp coming at you. You should be using throw for the wave clear, honestly, in this situation. So your team, nothing can really touch Jaina right now, else on your team. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I see why you go in on her, because she's overextended, but at this point, the best thing your team can do is stay alive and wave clear. Unfortunate. Yep. Still 4 siege giants. That's probably the end of the game. Yeah. Definitely the end.
Yeah, everyone died. I just went and killed Raevar here for fun.
Aha. Nice.
And they all went and killed me.
Yep. So, I think this is a lot on the draft for sure. I do feel like you guys could have made this particular composition work. I just don't think that you understood how important it was for Orphea to be a wave clear hero and not to be a DPS hero. In your top lane, they spent a huge amount of time focusing on ganking with Valeera. And that's okay. I would have rather seen you spend less time up top trying to respond to the ganks and more time securing your lead on bottom. That's the thing about this map, is that it's much better to hold bottom than it is to hold top because of these camps. If they ever show 2 people doing these double lane ganks, first of all, your Sonya should be a lot more passive in lane because of the fact that there's a Valeera. He doesn't have to wave clear up here. He can just sit on his mount back here and just wait. And if the wave comes up, he clears it. He doesn't have to ever go for the point unless he has vision of Valeera. That's the only way he should ever play. So that's a big deal. At least after level 7 or level 4, I guess, once Varian gets Twin Blades. Because before then, Varian's like a wet noodle. As for the bottom side of the map, if they're spending 2 people to deal with top, then you guys absolutely should have an advantage here where you're able to stay in this bush right here and catch soak from the mid that's clashing. Stay mounted in this bush because you can very quickly rotate to the bot side with your trait in E, and you can collapse on a target that's out of position. And you have the tools to put someone out of position with the Garrosh. You have enough wave clear for 1 lane with the Orphea, a fair amount of crowd control with the Deckard. After you clear a wave in the mid, or after a wave is cleared in the mid, that's your call to go for the objective or for one of these camps. If you get a pick in the bot lane, that's your cue to take the bot camp here. That gives you push. You get towers. Eventually you'll get the fort. You might get level advantage that way. You never even take this unless you know exactly where Valeera is at all times of the game. I don't see any way where you guys lose the bottom half of this map if you focus on it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So yeah, by going topside, you're playing their game, and most of the time you went even, if not worse than, by doing that. And they ended up winning on the bot side because of that too. So overall, this was definitely a difficult game. I think that Power Spike, you're kind of right. They had a very powerful comp. He did go for the Q build, which I think was correct, just because of the map. This area in particular is guaranteed Q value for Diablo. Their composition just in general. Icy Veins, or yeah, he did.
Yeah.
And with some water elemental, Jaina is really good into Garrosh for the slows, the control. I think macro was your only help in terms of camps and rotations on the bot side of the map. That was the only thing that was going to help you guys. Top side just needed to stay alive, really. That was the primary goal. I think yeah, Lornado would have been a big help as well. Or not Lornado. I meant Stay a While. If you get to level 20, the upgraded Stay a While would have been pretty huge.
Yeah.
Into their composition. That and I think Indomitable usage could have been better. Other than that, I would say that they probably had a 5% advantage over you based on draft. I think that the majority of their advantage they got over you was the execution. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Do you have any questions?
I guess how to better manage Valeera.
How to manage
Maybe
Valeera.
this.
So Valeera is not that strong of a hero in general overall. A lot of her strength comes from people not really knowing what to do or how to deal with her. She's extremely vulnerable to crowd control. She's really bad in group team fights. She excels in ganking and solo lane, like dealing with people that are trying to rotate solo and stuff like that, which is why when you're on Genji, it feels like she's really annoying because you want to be able to rotate, but this is no longer your territory to rotate on as Genji because of the Valeera. You have to be on this side of the map because you want to be closer to your 3-man. If you guys are a 4-man, I guarantee you win that fight every time. If it's Diablo, Jaina, Rhaegar, and Valeera versus Genji, Deckard, Garrosh, and Orphea, you guys have a stronger 4-man than they do. Valeera is not a team fight hero. So if they're going to do the 2-man top most of the game, then you have to just let that go. You have to accept that they're going to win that and win elsewhere because of it. And once again, a lot of that comes down to the way that the Sonya plays. A lot of the times that the Sonya died like here, or like trying to trade into the Varian a lot for, and that's really kind of pride, you know, like thinking you can win the solo lane and whatnot. And that's great as long as there's no Valeera or no Genji on the other team or Zeratul, something that can easily gank you. So definitely when you're playing the solo lane, you just need to know if there's any risks before you try and play the trade game. And other than that, I think that draft-wise, against Valeera in particular, I don't know what the order of the draft. You just said you first picked Genji. I'm assuming you took Orphea and Garrosh next, and then Sonya and Deckard. Okay. And when did they pick Valeera in the draft?
They picked it like immediately, I think. Pretty sure. Okay.
So because of that, I think you guys could have drafted a little bit differently. So Arthas is a very strong hero into Valeera and Diablo in particular. I don't know if that you would want to have Arthas as a solo tank, but Arthas would have been amazing as a solo laner in this game because not only would it destroy the Varian for most of the game in the solo lane, but it would also be extremely difficult for a Valeera to gank because as long as he's got his E up, he can just walk away from them and they can never catch him. It's also just a very tanky thing, so should be safe in this top lane most of the game. And then it's amazing during team fighting because it's good into the Diablo, it's good into the Valeera, it's good into the Varian, good into the Rhaegar. The only thing it's not great into is the Jaina, and that's still fine because you can survive the burst damage and stay alive with your ghouls. So I think Arthas in place of the Sonya would have been huge. And then I think Garrosh is okay in this draft, but I still would have preferred something else with a little bit more wave clear. Like if you had Johanna, for example, this draft would have felt a lot smoother overall. because you can't have the tank and the healer with no wave clear when Orphea, like, she has cooldowns that can wave clear, but they're relatively long cooldowns. So anytime that there's like a camp pushing, for example, or multiple camps, that really is where your team started to struggle. And I guarantee you, if you had a Johanna in this bot push when there were 3 camps, Johanna groups everything up, and you had a slightly better wave clear hero. You don't lose the keep here, and you don't lose the game, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think the primary difference in pick that I would have gone for was the Arthas pick. That's about it. That's the most important one.
I feel like Arthas didn't even like cross our minds there.
What's that?
I feel like Arthas didn't even cross our minds here in this draft. Like, who's Arthas?
I'm sorry. For some reason, I'm missing what the words you're saying.
Like, I feel like I don't think Arthas ever crossed our minds here. Like,
right.
We just like totally forgot that he was a hero.
Yeah. I mean, I would only take him as a solo laner in like 5 to 10% of matches, but when you go for him, it's because you have a specific thought in mind as to, you know, what your power spike is and what your win condition is. And in this particular game, because they picked Valeera early on, the first thing you need to know is, do I have a solo laner that can stay alive? And Arthas is that pick. You could also do Dahaka. You could also, I'm assuming it was banned, but you could do Artanis is not great. You could do Stitches perhaps. You could do ETC as an offlaner, but you have to have something that's very survivable and isn't destroyed by crowd control. And Sonya is destroyed by crowd control. So, I think that about covers it. Do you have any other questions?
Don't think so. I think that's it.
All right, fair enough. I'm glad that you did send in, a losing game, and this was by all accounts of a very losing game. As you can tell, they still have their whole base.
Yeah,
you guys did get the objective one time as at level 8, and you got the front wall here, which once again was a mistake. Definitely rotating to the bot side of the map would have been better for 2 reasons. First reason being that it's a better thing to get in terms of macro speak, but also because the action was happening up here. This is where you had 1 or 2 deaths on your team.
Yeah.
And so because of that, they were able to rotate and finish you right here. By the time that they were able to get to you, you were still in the mid. You would stay to here to clear the towers, and they were able to clear up the rest of the objective. If you had rotated immediately, taking the bottom towers here, I think you would have had time to take the well and potentially get a little bit of fort damage before they finished rotating and killing you. And yeah. But
Right.
yeah. That about covers it. All right, man.
All right, thanks.
Absolutely.